Hey, Forrest here. Nothing like getting paid. And with ICCU's mobile app, I can deposit checks or accept Zelle payments so the money hits my account fast. I just wish there was an app for mowing the rest of these lawns.
Right now, Lithia Ford of Boise is buying used vehicles. How much you want for the SUV?
I don't know.
Well, Lithia Ford will give you more than that.
How much more?
More than you think.
I'm not thinking anything.
I'm thinking you might get even more than that. See how much more you can get at Lithia Ford of Boise.
When it comes to concrete, we've got you covered. RowPaint.com offers custom concrete coating services for your garage, business, warehouse, and more. And we do it in one day. We are your complete concrete coatings solution.
This is Bronco Nation News Live. The best interviews, the most informed opinions, the latest breaking news, all from the top Boise State insiders. Joining BJ Rains today is KTIK 95.3 FM The Ticket's Mike Prater. Listen to Idaho Sports Talk with Prater in the Ballgame, weekdays from 3 to 6 on 95.3 FM The Ticket and online at KTIK.com. Now, here's Mike Prater and BJ Rains with another edition of Bronco Nation News Live.
We fool so many people that we seem legit with that nice intro there. That does sound pretty legit. BJ Rains, Mike Prater with you. This is Bronco Nation News Live here at BroncoNationNews.com. Mike is in downtown Boise at the RowPaint.com studios there for the ticket, and I am in the Cutwater Canned Cocktails mobile studios in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. I'm sorry that I don't have some great view of the beach or anything, but I wanted to get the banner up so you don't see my bed that is yet to be made in the hotel room here, but it's 11:02 here, Mike. I'm not used to this Eastern time zone, but here in Myrtle Beach, and we got a lot to talk about today. Basketball, football, and excited to be on with you, Mike Prater.
I wouldn't give you crap about not making your bed if you would told me you snuck out this morning for an early 9 holes of golf, but I'm assuming that's not the case.
It's not golf weather right now. Maybe it is compared to Boise. It's a little overcast and probably in the 50, 55 degree range, low 50s, little windy.
As long as it's about 50, that's golf weather. Come on, PJ, that's golf
weather.
I
should have, no fun on this trip, man. Did get a chance to have nice dinner with Abe Jackson last night, but for the most part here, we got a lot going on and excited to, for the next 30 minutes or so, talk with you, Mike. We got, as I mentioned, we got the football game on Saturday at Wyoming. We'll get to that, but I guess we got to start with the Myrtle Beach Invitational, and we have a bracket, Mike. We actually have a preseason tournament with a bracket. You've got your bracket right there. Yours is in color. You got better printing than I do. I know it's, as I said in my story on the website today, obviously the bracket that Boise State wants to be in and care about is the 68-team field come the end of the season. But, to kind of mix it up a little bit early in the season, and you can, debate the importance of these little tournaments or whatever. It's obviously Maui Invitational. There's some that are perceived to be a little bit, more prestigious, but to mix up the monotony of just having games early in the season and have a bracket and have something to be playing for and teams to be scouting for on one day's notice and things like that. I think it's going to be a fun couple of days here.
Oh, absolutely. Boise State needs to do these, and they've done a nice job in the last couple of years of putting together these, as Leon likes to call them, preseason tournaments, even though they're not really preseason tournaments. They're real tournaments, but I like these kind of things. By the way, speaking of college basketball, BJ, I was thinking about you last night, and that doesn't make me very proud, but I was sitting on my couch at home last night thinking about you because there was Maction on last night, and I'm not a big Maction guy, but in the past, in the previous part of my life, I would always watch a crappy college football game over any kind of a good college basketball game. And something must have happened to me over the last year because I had zero interest in watching a crappy college football game last night. And I actually watched
Gonzaga, Texas.
I watched the entire Gonzaga, Texas basketball game.
Wow.
That's the earliest I've ever watched a full college basketball game, I think, in 25 years. So, and I enjoyed it. It was cool. And no more crappy college football games. I'm going to try to watch one big college basketball game every, it's hard for me to transition out of the football season. When I saw Leon Rice at the press conference the other night, he goes, whoa, the football guy's here at a basketball press conference and it's November. I'm working my ways, BJ. I'm working it.
He told me it was weird that you were there and I wasn't. He did say that to me, but he gave me crap for not being there, and I said I had a little bit of a tight schedule. It wasn't like I just went home and hung out. But yeah, that was I listened to the presser. You were one of the few there asking a lot of questions. It sounded like.
I was into it. I was into that event. I was into college basketball last night. Something weird's happening, but maybe it's Leon Rice is rubbing off on me, or this basketball team's rubbing off on me. But I'm engaged in college basketball. I can't wait for this tournament. I love these kinds of tournaments, and I can't wait to see what Boise State does.
And by the way, you could have turned that game off at halftime last night. Texas put a whooping on them. Not a lot of people saw that coming, and so yeah, that was quite the surprise there. Gonzaga goes down, and yeah, that's I was watching that as well. Love me some college basketball. And you mentioned the MAC. Tanner says, don't forget Ray J. Dennis. He's putting the MAC on the map. He's actually doing really well at Toledo. Right now. Remember, he transferred to Toledo. He's their starting point guard. They had that game last week where Barstool Sports was like airing the game for the first time, and you had Big Cat and Dave Portnoy like broadcasting the game, and they were like talking about gambling the whole time, and they had both the coaches mic'd up during the game. Like, it was pretty cool. And there's Ray J. Dennis out there making plays for Toledo during the game, and you got Dave Portnoy talking about it, and it was definitely odd for sure. By the way, Jordan says, happy game day. I hope Max doesn't get tagged with another awful flopping call today. He said that's for Prater. He asks who the refs are in the tournament. Don't know. They usually bring in a sprinkling of refs from different conferences to kind of even it out. So there'll probably be a few that we're familiar with, a few that we're not. But I know you guys did spend a lot of time talking about the flopping on your show, Mike.
Yeah, and mostly we just talked about the fact that there's this new rule. I mean, when I was watching that game on Saturday night, and when the official said Class B technical, I had never heard that phrase before, and I wasn't aware that flopping is a new rule this year. So Class B technical has been around for a while. It's like if you're hanging on the rim or some kind of non-contact technical. It's not so much telling the ref F you. It's stupid things like hanging on the rim, and it's one shot. You don't change the possession of the ball. It's just kind of business as usual after one quick shot. So we talked about the rule a little bit yesterday and threw out Max Rice as the example. You know, it was a bang flop call. I don't know if it was right or I don't know if it was wrong, but Max does he does act a little bit. That's kind of part of his DNA, and we love Max around here these days.
And I will say, just to predict based on previous years, as you know, Mike, they have these new emphases every year and these new rules. They call them for about a month and then they never call them again. So it wouldn't shock me if it's a story now and we look up in February and it's way less flopping calls than they're calling now, because they want to try to get the flopping out of the game. So they overcall it now, and then they hope guys don't do it as much and they stop calling it later in the season. So
that makes sense.
We'll see. But yeah, that is an interesting call. And if you had to pick somebody on Boise State's team that's going to get called for the flop, it probably would be Max Rice, right?
Yeah, and nobody wants to be.
And that's not a negative. He just seems like the guy that gets that call sometimes.
No, he's the pesky little guy that you want on your basketball team that's doing all the dirty work. There's no doubt about that. And yeah, he'll embellish a little bit. He's a very animated player, and 99% of the time, that's a positive that works for him. So I love that. Nobody wants to be known as a flopper. So I think that they'll clean that up. I think the players will police themselves. That's a great point that you brought up in terms of emphasis on the first month of the season, and let's not get too carried away. I don't remember flopping being that big of an issue in college basketball, but it's good that they're trying to clean that up. It's just not a good look, and unfortunately, we're going to get a whole dose of that. The World Cup starts on Sunday. We're going to get flopping all over the place.
I was thinking of you're a hockey guy, the embellishment call, right? And
exactly.
And when they call it, sometimes too, they'll call the hook, but they'll also call the embellishment. Like, it's one or the other, right? It can't be both. But we'll see how they do it in basketball. It looks like they're just calling the flopping. If it's a flop, it's not also going to be a charge, a block or whatever, a charge as well.
Not even a personal foul, no.
Yeah. And so we do have the bracket here. The first game gets going here in about 2 hours. You got Colorado and UMass. All 8 teams are staying here at the hotel, by the way. So I know Tad Boyle is a good friend of Leon Rice's. I've seen the Colorado players kind of walking around. Murray State and Texas A&M coming up after that. And then Boise State, Charlotte, 5 p.m. Mountain Time tonight is that game. And then if they win, they have a chance to play Loyola Chicago. I did find it interesting, Boise State comes in the KenPom rankings about number 75 or 80, I believe. Charlotte's like in the 160 range. I mean, it's they're not like it's not super high, but they're not super low. They're still in the first half of the teams, and yet this point spread was only about 3 points. I think I saw for tonight, 3.5 points. So expecting this to be a close game. And I will say this: I appreciate Leon Rice. He knew that I was here at the hotel and didn't have much to do yesterday, Mike. He offered me a chance to come sit in on their film session. And I just kind of sat in the back of the room and wasn't doing it for a story or anything, just watching how they scout an opponent and put the clips up on the screen and go through the scouting report. And I'll tell you this, man, I know it's Charlotte and a lot of fans are already like putting this in the win column and moving on to Loyola Chicago. You would have thought they were playing Duke when you watched it with what they're saying about Charlotte and all the coaches and the scouting report. And they're giving a scouting report for like the fifth guy off the fifth guy off the bench, some guy that his stats said he played 2 minutes or whatever. I mean, they're telling people who might guard him and what to expect on this guy. It was way more. I've been to some of those in the past, but it just seemed like it was, the detail they go to get ready for a game like this. I was fascinated. They had a whole packet of papers they give to each player. And they have a whole film session where they mention the player. They put his stats up there. They show 5 or 6 clips of that player, talk to the 2 or 3 guys that might be guarding him, and then they move on to the next guy. And as I said, this is a Charlotte team that was picked like 8th or 9th in Conference USA this year, and you would have thought it was Kentucky or Kansas with the amount of effort. And then they had 2 different practices. They went to the gym, got to see kind of a easy shoot around in the arena where they're going to be playing at, and they didn't do anything secret there because there was, people setting up the TV cameras and all that kind of stuff. So they just kind of got their feet wet to the arena, did some shots, and then went to a private kind of like a little local community center where they did more of the scouting and kind of had the scout team working on the other team's plays and things like that. And they'll go through a full another, session today on scouting and film session and practice again and get ready for the game tonight. So it's not they're not here on a vacation. I'll tell you that. They've been putting in a lot of work behind the scenes, and they're treating this game like it's the biggest game of the season, which it is at this point.
Yeah, that goes back to the old football mentality of one game at a time, treat every game equally, treat every game different, or every game the same, and so on and so forth. Don't get too high, don't get too low. All those cliches that coaches love to throw around. So I like that intensity, and I have to brag. I've been called into Leon Rice film sessions as well, but usually it's after a press conference, and I hear Prater, get in here, and Leon Rice is mad at me, and he calls me around the corner, and he's got a laptop set up. And he sits there and he explains to me how we do things around here. Prater, this is how we do things. Not what you said on the radio the other day. Prater, that's actually happened a couple of times. And he's really charming and it's really kind of funny. And I do appreciate it because I always learn something in those deals. But usually I get Leon a little fired up because I said something stupid about basketball. He takes me around the corner, beats me up for 5 minutes, and then we're good. So a little bit different perspective, but I always like those because you learn a lot from those sessions. It's not like I'm a basketball coach or a basketball junkie and teach me. I like that stuff.
And I'll save some for the pregame show when at that point, Charlotte's not watching, and I'm sure they're not, but I mean, it was kind of a don't really repeat a lot of what you hear in here, but it was there's 2 or 3 obvious emphasis in the game tonight that I now can look for when I'm watching the game. There's 2 obvious things right away that I can think of that they say they're not going to win if they don't do this, and if they are going to win, they're going to do this. So at least for me, like I mean, I know I can't do that every game, but you have such a better idea going into the game of what you're looking for and what you want to do. Yeah. As somebody who knows nothing about Charlotte, I'm not going to lie and act like I studied their game before the game, but now I know, okay, their big guy can pop and shoot threes, and you got to get up on them, and you got to get your hands up, and there was all this different stuff, and it was just like, okay, that was really cool. And then they let me tag along to the practices, and it was a fun afternoon just kind of watching and seeing how they prepare for a game. And one small story that I did put on Twitter, Mike, they went to this private. It was supposed to be private, kind of like a little local community center, and they have like 8 basketball courts, and it's one of those ones where they can lower down like the curtains between the courts or whatever, but yet you can still see like in the corners, it's not fully a private gym. And so, when you got, Boise State basketball, and there all these little kids were peeking around and wanting to watch them play and stuff, and there were 4 or 5 kids that I don't think knew any better, but literally pulled up chairs and just started watching. And right away, everyone's kind of like looking back, and you can tell the director of ops is like, should we kick them out? What are these kids doing over here? And they finally went up to Leon, and the guy, one of the staff members said, "Do you want us to kick them out?" And Leon said, I guess just tell them if they don't record anything, it's okay if they stay. And so he went down there and told them no phones, no nothing, and then let them stay. And then after the practice, he went over for like 5-10 minutes and talked to them and asked them if they played basketball and was asking them all this stuff. And you probably got 5 new Boise State fans now based on Leon Rice just giving 5 minutes to these kids that, some coaches would have said, get them the bleep out of here. And so I thought that was kind of a cool thing to witness also. But
yeah, that's a cool story. I do like that. I like that a lot.
But obviously, this is a chance, Mike, where, the Charlotte game tonight doesn't do it for you, but you have a chance tomorrow night to play a Loyola Chicago team that I think is in the top 75. And then Texas A&M, who's like 35, I think, right now. And the thing to remember is they actually are playing Texas A&M again already on December 4th, the day of the Mountain West Championship game down in Fort Worth. So they do have a chance to play Texas A&M twice. And when I mentioned that to Leon Rice yesterday, he said, that's great. We hope we do. They're top 35, and we'd love to play them twice. I mean, that's 2 quad 1 games right there that are hard to get. for a Mountain West team, and that probably means it's in the championship too. So you'll definitely take your chances with that. They've got Murray State in the second game. I'm going to get there and watch that game. But these tournaments, Mike, as I said, you get a chance to play, probably at least one quad one game, at least one quad two game, and it's a long way out here, but it's a nice opportunity to get on the ESPN family and networks for a couple of games and try to get some quality games under your belt as they continue to evolve and move forward here with this team.
Obviously, the winning is important, and if they can get to Texas A&M in the bracket in the championship game, that'd be pretty cool. But these preseason tournaments, especially when you can get on a plane and go far, far away, it's more about the intangibles to me. It's early season bonding. It's spending 4 or 5 days with the guys, and you're with them 24/7. And basketball wise, just getting better. I mean, early on in the season, it's okay to struggle. It's okay to lose basketball games. We saw what Boise State did last year and losing to Bakersfield, and we all were like, I can almost promise you, Prater was like, the sky is falling, the sky is falling, the sky is falling, and you can get that taken care of. So, just get better every single game. Work on your weaknesses, and if you see improvement every game, that's always good. It's not like football where you have to win every stinking game, but just go out and get better in basketball. And obviously they would like to win a basketball game, but just get better, bond, hang out. I would assume he's got some fun stuff planned for these guys. Probably not a lot, but maybe a little thing here, a little thing there. And I like these tournaments. They're cool.
He was trying to find something to do. And by the way, there's a really cool mini golf course like right across the street. It wouldn't shock me if they end up over there. But I don't even know if I'm supposed to announce this or say this, but I was told that me and Abe would get to come watch if we want. He did decide yesterday. So on Saturday, there's no game. They've got the game today, game tomorrow, off day on Saturday. I think they are going to do something to watch the BSU football game as a team. But in typical Leon Rice fashion, he hired a magician to come in and do a magic show for the team on Saturday. So they're going to have a little fun time in the afternoon with some magician coming in to do some stuff for the team on Saturday.
I need to see some video of that.
He said I could. I think he said I could. Yeah, I will try to get some video of that. Tonight in this game, as I mentioned, they're only a 3 or 4 point favorite. It's obviously a game against, as I said, a team that wasn't picked very high in the in Conference USA, but their rankings not terrible. They're in the top 200. Anytime you can get in terms of the computer rankings, a 100 team instead of a 200 or 300 team, that's going to help. But what do you want to see tonight, Mike? I mean, we got a couple people talking about Abo on here, going for 15 plus points tonight. He's calling it. You got, saying Abo, hopefully Buzo gets some good minutes and gets going. Obviously you were there on Saturday night against Wazoo. He finally at least hit a 3. He ended up hitting a couple key free throws in the final couple of minutes, but again, fouled out. I think he has 5 points in 2 games and 10 fouls. Maybe against a team like Charlotte here, is this a game where maybe we finally see Abo get some confidence and get rolling a little bit?
Yeah, and part of that is, the Boise State coaches and the staff and this team strategy-wise, putting them in positions where it can go off and score. So far, after a couple of games, it's very obvious offensively, this is a Degenhart, Rice, Shaver offensively dominated basketball team, and they need to incorporate Abo in there as well, make him the 4th guy, 3rd guy, however he wants to grow. And I haven't seen a lot of opportunities for him to score and maybe create some opportunities to get him off. I don't want to say off the schneid because he did have that shot and scored some points the other night. But we expect him, and this team way better than I do, but we expect him to be at least a 10-plus point scoring guy. Haven't seen any indication of that so far. And I need to see over the next 2 or 3 games in this specific tournament, I definitely need to see him become an incorporated part of this offense.
Yeah, he's only averaging 14.8 minutes per game. He's 1 for 7 from the field, 1 for 5 from 3. He has got 10 fouls and 5 points in the 2 games. And yeah, you talk about him needing to, wanting to come up and be in the 4th guy. He was supposed to be 1st or 2nd. I mean, I think he could have been there's people that within the program too that thought he'll end up being that he'd be the leading scorer on this team. So
and maybe I think at the end of the season.
Yeah, I think we are going to look back a month from now and go, man, that was kind of like when Max Rice was 1 for 24 or whatever, and then the numbers kind of corrected. We probably are in 2 or 3 weeks, and maybe here in a couple of days saying, okay, that's more what we thought. And man, crazy to think he had 10 fouls in his first 2 games, or whatever. I mean, I think it has just been a little bit of bad luck and a bad combination of just 2 games in a row. I don't think this is some foul-prone guy, some guy that's going to be like this all season. I mean, he was a 4-star recruit. You clearly can see he's got the wherewithal and the confidence to be one of their better players. I just think it's been a weird 2 games, and at some point he is going to break out for that 18-point game on 4 of 6 from 3 or whatever. And we heard for 4 months about how he may have been better than Abu Kijab, and he's a heck of a player. And I don't think what we've seen is in 2 games is any idea of what we're going to see. But with that said, Max Rice, I mean, this is a guy, Mike, that we're sitting up there. He's averaging 18 points a game through 2 games. Now, is he going to average 18 points for the season? No. I mean, it's probably a little bit of a regression there, just like we expect Abbo to do more. But, I mean, I think Max Rice could be a 10, 11, 12-point scorer for this team. He's showing that he can drive now and not just be a 3-point shooter. He hit a couple floaters in that Washington State game. Najee Smith and Max Rice. Najee Smith, by the way, is averaging 12 points a game himself. He's been very impressive. For me, Max Rice and Najee Smith both look like they've made, significant improvements to their games. And if you're getting, anything close to this from Smith and Max Rice, I think that totally changes the dynamic of this team here.
Oh, I would agree with that. And Max Rice, to me, is, more consistent on offense is the one area that I would like to see him get better throughout the course of this season. And so far, he's done that. I think Max Rice has always done the little things that make this basketball team work, the defensive stuff, the gritty stuff, the taking the charges here, creating that defensive stop so the offense can get in transition. That's so important to what Leon Rice does. And I think Max creates a lot of that. He initiates a lot of that. So, Max Rice is the guy you want on your team. If he's not on your team, he's the guy that annoys the crap out of you. So I like what he does. And you're right about Najee Smith, just in terms of, he looks a little bit smooth. I don't know if I ever would have used the word smooth when it comes to Najee Smith in the past, but offensively, he's just, he's a big bruising kind of guy, and he plays a little bit of a physical basketball game, but offensively, he looks pretty smooth right now.
He does look smooth, and I'm getting a little low Wi-Fi signal here, so hopefully you can still hear me okay. But he is. All right, we'll roll with it. But I think a lot of people, Mike, thought on paper this team wasn't quite as good as last year's team going into the season. When you look at who you lost and who you brought in, I still think guys like Silla and Nganga are going to have a role at some point here. But we even saw a little bit of flashes in the second game after Johnny called him out upstairs from Lucas Milner as well, with a couple of nice plays. Overall, I guess just through 2 games with what we've seen, with what we think we're going to see. What do you like about this team? And then I guess what still most concerns you, or do you need to see get better here after 2 games?
Well, it's hard to say after a couple of games. I like the team. I like the depth on this team. There's not a lot of it, and Leon Rice is never going to have the depth, but he's got some people in there. I'm excited to see what Lucas Milner, he's going to progress. We saw Armouche grow up before our very eyes last season. Leon Rice's strength, one of his strengths, is developing in season. So I think these guys are going to continue to get better. And I can't wait to see what Lucas Milner can do. It's funny, Johnny said the other day, Lucas is really struggling, and he kind of was. And all of a sudden, he went off with a couple of quick baskets. I think we're going to see a lot of spurts from Lucas Milner. And Marcus Shaver's shooting the ball okay after last year's late season slump. So far, so good. And I like where this basketball team's headed, and it would be kind of cool if they won a couple of games in this tournament.
So I was talking to Marcus Shaver Jr. after practice yesterday and just kind of said, hey, man, how do you think you're playing through 2 games? Like, everybody knows he missed the 2 free throws, which ended up, being a big one in that first game. And I hadn't looked at the stats too much, but I said, how do you think you're playing? And he goes, oh, I'm not playing good at all. I'm playing terrible. I can do so much better. And then I look it up, and he's averaging 16 points, 8 rebounds, and 5 assists a game. I mean, in 2 games, your starting point guard, 16 points, 8 rebounds a game, and 5 assists. And he says, oh, I'm playing terrible. So, I mean, Marcus Shaver Jr., if that is the case, has so much room for him to grow as well. We've heard so much about Tyson Degenhart being a great, improved shooter. He's only 1 for 6 from, in 2 games, Mike, your top 2, what you thought 3-point shooters, or at least 2 of the top 3, Shaver and Degenhart, are 1 for 12 in 2 games. And so, I mean, you expect that number to correct a little bit as well. So, we'll see. It'll be 5 o'clock. So how are you guys going to handle that? You're going to have to give some help first half play-by-play, I guess, you and Johnny on the show today? Or?
Yeah, there'll be no first half play-by-play. JP will give some updates, and we're going to still focus a little bit on this Boise State, Wyoming football game and in the 5 o'clock hour on Idaho Sports Talk, but we'll keep a close eye on this basketball game, absolutely.
And I was talking to Abe. He's going to be doing that game, I guess, with the UMass announcer on the radio today, because Bob is doing the football game in Wyoming. So, and I forgot, by the way, the UMass coach is Frank Martin, who used to be at South Carolina and Kansas State. I totally forgot he was the UMass coach. You got Steve Prohm, who used to be the Iowa State coach back at Murray State. I've seen some of these coaches walking by, and even the Loyola Chicago coach, Denzel Valentine, the old Michigan State player. I'm kind of looking around. I'm like, man, I forgot some of the some of the coaches that are in different places and in this tournament. But yeah, should be fun, and we'll have you guys will have it covered on your show. I'll have my pregame show going as well, starting about 4 o'clock Mountain Time. Abe Jackson's going to join me. RJ Keene is actually going to join me. He's out for the season with an injury, but during warmups, they're going to let him sit down and goof around for a few minutes and help get ready for this game. So, should be fun. Again, 5 o'clock Mountain Time today, Boise State, Charlotte. If they win, they play at 5 o'clock again tomorrow. If they lose, it's not till 7:30 against whoever loses between Loyola Chicago and Tulsa. So we will keep you updated on that. We'll have live pregame, postgame shows from the floor at the HTC Center. So looking forward to that. Got about 5 minutes left, Mike. I do want to talk about this football game, but first want to thank a couple of our sponsors. Idaho Central Credit Union getting us on the road here. They sponsor our road trip coverage. We appreciate them for helping fund the trips to get us out to Myrtle Beach for this tournament. It was not cheap. You can join more than one of the more than 500,000 Idahoans that have made the switch to Idaho Central Credit Union. You can do it today at iccu.com. Lithia Ford of Boise. Check them out online. You can see their full inventory online at lithiafordboise.com, and then go in and test drive and be on your way in a couple of hours with your new vehicle. That's what I did, and I fully recommend doing your research ahead of time. Then when you get there, you know what you want to drive. You can do that at lithiafordboise.com. Ropaint.com, our title sponsor. We appreciate them as well. And if you're in the Twin Falls area, again, they're offering 23% off. Just use that promo code BNN Twin 23. BNN Twin 23 is the promo code for Ropaint.com. They're trying to keep their painters in the Twin Falls area busy over the wintertime. So go check them out. BNN Twin 23. You get 23% off your painting if you just put that in during the promo code when you're looking for your quote there on the website. And of course, as I said, we're broadcasting from the Cutwater Canned Cocktails mobile studios today. We're on the road in Myrtle Beach. Check out one of their more than 30 flavors of premium, pre-mixed, pre-made cocktails, Cutwater Canned Cocktails at your local grocery store or gas station. Mike, we got the football game on Saturday. It's going to be a little bit colder than it is here in Myrtle Beach. 9 degrees is the projected game time temperature. I think I saw, it wasn't that cold actually in Reno. It was snowing, but it was still in the 30s. So it wasn't like brutally cold. So now they'll deal with the cold. It looks like, at least as of now, although as you know, Laramie, weather can change in an instant. No snow expected right now, but obviously a game that, it's all on the line. We've talked for the whole season about Boise State's goal, hosting the Mountain West Championship. And now it is literally right here, and as simple as can be. They beat Wyoming. They're not only in the championship, they host the championship. And obviously, if you lose, Wyoming's still alive, and you're going to need, that Wyoming to lose a game to Fresno. I mean, there's a lot riding on this game on Saturday. Absolutely. And we've been talking about this game and had this game circled on the schedule from the very beginning. It's that old cliche Laramie in November game. And here we go in terms of the elements. You never know what to expect, although you do expect a very tough team from Craig Bowl, a very pesky team, a very gritty team. I don't see a lot of talent on this football team right now. I don't see a lot of skill players. There's no great running back. There's no great quarterback. As a matter of fact, they got quarterback issues right now, and they could very well be juggling a couple of very average quarterbacks. If Boise State just goes in there and takes care of business, plays a nice, clean game offensively, this game will not look pretty no matter what Boise State does. That's just what Wyoming does, and Craig Bowl is really, really good at that. But get in there, get away from the injuries, play a nice, clean game, get the heck out of there, take that Mountain West invitation to the championship game, and then focus on Utah State next week. So the mission is very clear here. And if Boise State plays the way that it's been playing against crappy Mountain West teams, which really this is what this is, we're not talking about a big BYU physical team or anything else. This is just a very average, very mediocre Mountain West team. Boise State should be able to take care of business. It is crazy, though, if you look at the scores, every time Boise State plays Wyoming, or even Wyoming's last 5 games, it's pretty much the exact same score. It's 20-13 or 20, 24-20. I mean, it's a lot of low-scoring, grinded-out defensive style games. Is that, again, what you're kind of expecting on Saturday? Yeah, the last 3 games, the total score, the total combined points has averaged about 33. BJ, I know you like to wager a buck or two every now and then. The over-under on this game is 44.5. The last 3 games total are right around 33. And there was even 17-9. 17-9. There was a 23-13. There was a 20-17 overtime game. Yeah. With Boise State going on the road with an offense that's still trying to learn itself, with a Wyoming team that can't score a lot of points and quarterback issues, cold weather, crazy weather. I don't see a combined score of 45 points. So
I like the under in this game, BJ.
Always good to get some early morning gambling advice from Mike Prater. Big Wade says, good BNN show after dark last night. Yeah, we had Jamar Taylor on last night. He was great. So if you're a subscriber, go back on the tab and watch Jamar Taylor. And we really enjoyed him coming on, told some good stories. Mike, we appreciate it. You guys got 3 to 6 today. Any big time guests or things you want to promote today?
No, just talking a little bit more about this football game. We'll be watching the basketball game in the 5 o'clock hour. We're previewing a couple of state high school football championships involving local teams, including one on the blue. Meridian playing on the blue Friday night for a state championship. That'll be kind of fun, kind of a flashback to the olden days around here. So, yeah, looking forward to that.
Three local teams, I believe, in the title game. So good luck to all of them the next few days. And, we'll be listening 3 to 6. Mike Prater, John Mallory, JP, Bob, the whole crew, KTIK 95.3 FM, KTIK.com. Mike, always appreciate you jumping on. And should be fun today. And we'll see next week. I guess we'll have to figure it out. Next Thursday is Thanksgiving. So I guess you might have to owe me one or something. We'll have to figure that out down the line.
I'll be on my couch. Call me anytime you need me.
Appreciate it, Mike. Thanks to JP as well for getting us on the air. Have a great day, folks. We'll have full coverage starting about 4 o'clock Mountain Time with our live Lithia Ford to Boise pregame show from courtside there at the HTC Center. Boise State, Charlotte, first round of the Myrtle Beach Invitational coming up later today. We'll have it covered. Have a great day. Bronco Nation News, BroncoNationNews.com.